Adam and Constance were very religious. Both had been raised in Catholic families, except for her uncle Chandler, who was agnostic. All their relatives were devout Catholics. Adam's oldest brother was, in fact, a priest. Adam, as a youth, had been an altar boy and had prayed to God to become a priest. Instead, God made him a fireman. Constance had seriously thought about becoming a nun, but that was before she met Adam. Her heart fluttered at her first sight of Adam. He was taking pictures with kids at a charity event. What a big, strong man, she thought, and so good-looking. Constance took her nephew over to get his picture taken. She couldn't believe it when she saw that Adam was wearing a St. Christopher medal around his neck. He's Catholic, too, she marveled. Not being a shy woman, Constance started up a conversation with Adam. One thing, as they say, led to another. Both sets of parents were so happy that their child had fallen in love with a Catholic. There was a huge wedding at the cathedral. Adam's brother married the two lovebirds. Everyone said it was the best wedding ever. When Adam and Constance got around to opening their gifts a few days later, Constance opened an envelope from her Uncle Chandler. In it was $100 cash. But the cash was inside a Jewish card for Happy Hanukkah. The note in the card was, "I couldn't find a wedding card that I liked. I know this is Jewish, but it really is a beautiful card, don't you think? Love and best wishes." Constance did not send her uncle a thank you note, nor did she ever talk to him again. She was unable to think about her wedding again without thinking about that card.
Ray's wedding had gone off without a hitch. Everyone seemed to have had a good time. A few people had too good of a time. They went home with designated drivers. All evening, the gift table remained unguarded. Who would steal anything, Ray thought. He had never heard of such a thing happening at a wedding. But his best friend Aaron said there was a first time for everything. He strolled out regularly from the inside festivities to check on the gift table, making sure no one suspicious was hanging around it. Ray and Julia went on a 3-week honeymoon to Italy right after the wedding. When they got back, they opened all the gifts and sent out thank you notes. But there was one problem. A married couple that used to be good friends had apparently given nothing. This surprised Julia because Walt and Mary said they were thrilled to be invited, and they actually seemed to have had a great time at the wedding. Frankly, Ray didn't even care if they hadn't given a gift. He just needed to know whether to send a thank you note. Ray called Aaron. Aaron said maybe Walt had left an envelope on the gift table like Aaron had. "Yes, but we got your envelope with the cash inside," Ray said. Maybe my envelope looked too thin, and some thief thought Walt's envelope looked nice and fat.
Aaron asked Ray if he had looked everywhere for Walt's gift. Had he called up the wedding site to see if anything had been left behind? Ray said that he had looked everywhere and made a lot of calls that were fruitless. Ray didn't know what to do. If he sent Walt and Mary a thank you note for a gift they hadn't given, they would be insulted. If he didn't send them a thank you note for a gift they had given, they would be insulted. "What would you do?" Ray asked. Aaron said he would call Walt up and tell him the problem. "You can't go wrong with simply being honest," Aaron said. "Oh, yes you can," Ray countered. "Sometimes it's best to let sleeping dogs lie." But he thought about it and finally decided that honesty might be the best policy. He called Walt and told him the problem. Walt said that yes, he had given an envelope. In fact, the envelope contained $500 cash. "$500?" Ray asked. "That's a lot of cash, Walt." Walt admitted that it was, but he had gotten a fat raise early that year, and Ray's was the only wedding he'd been to in quite a while. Ray thanked him very much and apologized sincerely for someone stealing Walt's generous gift. Walt told him that it was only money. When Ray told Aaron about Walt's gift, Aaron laughed. The only thief at the wedding was Walt. I quit playing cards with him last year because I caught him cheating, and it was only a $10 pot. I'm sure I told you about that. Yes, you did tell me, Ray said. But, of course, he had to send Walt a thank-you note anyway. Wally asked Anita how her daughter Heather was doing. Heather had always been a dutiful, loving daughter. She got married about 10 years ago, at the age of 23. It was the first marriage for her and her husband, Ben. And they had 2 kids. Everything seemed fine, even though Heather was the only one working. Ben had gotten laid off 2 years ago. He was still looking for work. They were fortunate because Heather's grandma loved her to death. She had bought a house for Heather as a wedding gift, so Ben and Heather had no mortgage to pay, not 1 penny. Grandma asked only that Heather call her twice a month. Recently, Grandma had asked Anita what was wrong with Heather. Anita said she didn't understand. Nothing was wrong. Then why hasn't she called, Grandma asked. Anita said she would talk to Heather. She left several messages, but Heather didn't call back. Anita drove over to the house. Ben was home taking care of the kids. Where's Heather? Anita asked. She went to the beach, Ben told her. Without you and the kids? Ben was reluctant to talk, but he did. Heather had started smoking again. Even worse, she had found a boyfriend. She had met this guy at work, and things got out of hand. Ben didn't know what to do. If he filed for divorce, he might be out on the street with 2 kids to support. If he didn't get a divorce, he had to live with the humiliation of being supported by a wife who was cheating on him. Anita was astounded at her daughter's selfish actions. She drove home and called her mom. Grandma said that hopefully it was just a phase that Heather was going through. She told Anita to make sure to remind Heather to call. It was their first vacation together in years. Meg and Oscar had been running their own jewelry business for years. They made a nice income, but they were busy all the time. They went to one trade show after another, flying throughout the U.S. and often to China and other countries. Their last vacation was at least 10 years ago. Recently, Oscar's doctor said that Oscar's high blood pressure was going to be the death of him. After questioning Oscar about his eating and exercise habits, he concluded that Oscar was stressing himself out at work. He told Oscar that he needed to stop and smell the roses more often. In short, he said, I'm writing you a prescription for 2 weeks of R&R, rest and relaxation, immediately. In fact, I want you to take off 4 weeks a year, and these must be non-working vacations. No cell phone, no laptop. Do you understand me? In case you don't, I'm telling Meg, too. You might not listen to me, but you will listen to her. Meg canceled all their activities for the 2 weeks at the end of July. Fortunately, they did not have any flights scheduled. She booked them a nice hotel near Palm Springs. We'll catch up on our magazines, newspapers, and TV reruns, she told Oscar. We won't even talk about work for 2 weeks, okay? We'll relax in the pool, get massages, and treat ourselves like royalty. Got it? Yes, ma'am, Oscar said, smiling as he saluted her. The hotel had failed to tell them that it was undergoing renovations, but when it offered everything at half price, Meg and Oscar stayed. The second morning, about 10, Oscar told Meg he was going to take a swim. She told him not to forget his sunblock. She went back to sleep. when she woke up at noon, she put on her swimsuit and went outside. She couldn't stop screaming when she saw Oscar submerged beneath the water. His foot had gotten caught in a suction vent that workers had not covered properly. He had been underwater for 10 minutes. A month after the funeral, back home, Meg was going through her mail. The hotel, apparently worried about a lawsuit, had sent her an offer to stay there free for a month. "Happy birthday! This is your dad calling," Dad said. Dad always identified himself, as if, after 60 years, Joel didn't recognize his own dad's voice. "Well, you're getting pretty old, aren't you?" Dad asked. "I sure am," Joel said. "In fact, I'm the same age you were 20 years ago." "Yes, who'd ever think that they wished they were 60 again," said his dad. "This aging process is certainly no fun." "You can say that again," Joel said. "But as they say, it's a lot better than the alternative, as long as you're reasonably healthy in mind and body." They both agreed. His dad and mom were still quite active. They lived together in their house, they both drove, they both played golf regularly, and were active volunteers in the community. But such independence would not last forever. Both of them would eventually need part-time or full-time nursing assistants at home, or maybe even have to be moved into a nursing home. What a quiet end that will be, Joel thought, to such fun, productive, and eventful lives. Lying in a bed in a nursing home, waiting for relatives and friends to come visit, waiting for the nurse's aide to bring medication, dinner, or an extra blanket, waiting for help to use the bathroom. Much of that time spent waiting would also be spent in thought. What do people think about when they know their time is almost up? Joel wondered.